Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Uku. I'm the Communications Director here at the Commonwealth Secretariat and spokesperson. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here today to this press conference following the 43rd meeting of the Commonwealth Ministerial Action Group. We know today is a busy news day in London. It's the focal point for discussions on Ukraine and Russia, and we know that some of you have had to divide yourselves between the Kerry Lavrov talks and being here, so we're appreciative that you could join us here today. Let me start by introducing the members of CMAG who are here before you. I'll start by it's my pleasure to introduce the chair of CMAG, representing the United Republic of Tanzania, to the middle of the table, Honorable Bernard K. Membe, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Tanzania. To his immediate right is the Vice Chair of CMAG, the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade of New Zealand, Honourable Murray McCully. To his right is the Honourable Professor G.L. Perez, Minister of External Affairs of Sri Lanka, the Chair in Office of the Commonwealth. To his right is the Honourable Sartaj Aziz, Senior Advisor to the Prime Minister of Pakistan on Foreign Affairs and National Security. And to his right is the Honourable Dr. Samura Kamara, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Sierra Leone. To the end of the table is Honourable Clay Forao Soalawi, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and External Trade of the Solomon Islands. To my immediate right is the Honourable Ioannis Kasoulides, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cyprus. To his immediate right is the Honourable Caroline Rodriguez Burkett, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Guyana, clearly in the minority at this table, as you can see. And to her right is the Honourable Salman Khurshid, External Affairs Minister of India. Last but certainly not least is the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Kamalesh Sharma. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to you. At this juncture, I will turn the floor over to the Chair of CMAG, Honourable Bernard Membe. Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you very much. Now, let me just pass it over to the Commonwealth Secretary General to make the statement of the job we've been doing this afternoon. Secretary General.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm going to read out the statement which has been adopted by the 43rd meeting of the Commonwealth Ministerial Action Group. CMAG welcomed the significant progress made in Fiji towards holding national elections by September 2014. These include the promulgation of a new constitution, the enrollment of more than 540,000 voters, the establishment of an independent electoral commission, and the commencement of a dialogue between the Commission and political stakeholders. The group welcomed the decision by the Fiji Elections Office to open voter registration offices around the country to ensure more voters will register in anticipation of the planned election. The group urged that the Electoral Commission be provided with the necessary independent authority and resources to oversee the conduct of credible and inclusive elections on a level playing field. The group noted the logistical challenges still facing the Fiji Elections Office. It commended the financial and technical support provided to the Elections Office, including by some Commonwealth countries, and welcomed the offer by the Commonwealth Secretariat to provide technical advice and support to the electoral preparations. CMAG looked forward to the early appointment of a supervisor of elections and the issuance of an elections decree and the legal framework for elections. It stressed the importance of the fullest possible voter education. CMAG stressed the importance of continuing improvements to human rights, the rule of law and fundamental freedoms, including of the media, expression, association, and assembly. It also encouraged Fiji to invite international observation of the election. The group welcomed the relinquishment by the interim Prime Minister of his role as commander of the Royal Fijian Military Forces and noted the subsequent announcement of his intention to register his political party to contest the forthcoming elections. CMAG reaffirmed the Commonwealth's unwavering solidarity with Fiji. In recognition of progress, CMAG decided that Fiji's current full suspension from the Commonwealth should be changed to suspension from the councils of the Commonwealth, thus permitting Fiji once again to participate in a range of Commonwealth activities, including the Commonwealth Games, recognizing the role of sport in bringing people together. The group further reaffirmed its commitment to Fiji's full reinstatement as a member of the Commonwealth family through the restoration of constitutional civilian democracy following credible elections later this year. CMAG requested the Secretary-General to remain engaged with Fiji with a view to supporting the full restoration of adherence to the Commonwealth's fundamental political values. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry. Thank you, Secretary-General. Chair. At this point, we will invite questions from the floor. What I would like you to do, if you don't mind, is introduce yourself and your establishment, and then we'll take it from there. Jonathan. I'm just going by the first hands I see. So.
Thank you. My name is Jonathan Miller from Channel 4 News. I have a question for the Secretary-General. Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, my understanding of CMAG and this meeting that took place today is that it meets to deal with serious and persistent violations of Commonwealth values. In that respect, Sri Lanka, which chairs the Commonwealth, is accused of serious and persistent violations of these very values and has recently rejected in its entirety a report by the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, which was highly critical of Sri Lanka's human rights performance. Why was Sri Lanka not on the agenda of the CMAG meeting today?
The CMAG has empowered and encouraged the Secretary-General to engage in his good offices with Sri Lanka, which is what I have been doing. We agreed on a roadmap of Commonwealth partnership with Sri Lanka when I visited Sri Lanka last year. There are about 10 different tracks, and the progress is there for all to see on our website. We are advancing at a different pace on each track. We are tackling different difficult issues, such as reconciliation, torture, and human rights. We are working in a Commonwealth way. We offer practical assistance and a helping hand, and we strengthen national endeavor in the field of human rights and the rule of law. This week, we have started discussion about new areas of work. And my work, at the instance of the CMAG, includes reconciliation, elections, strengthening of the Human Rights Commission, inquiry of various types, encouraging the human rights body, which we are doing right now in Geneva with the full body, the separation of powers issue, public administration, and freedom of expression. It is the intent of the CMAG that in the spirit of the Commonwealth, we must engage with member states in order to advance the values which the CMAG is particularly cognizant of. And this is what I'm doing. So I had the pleasure of briefing these CMAG ministers of the work that I'm doing, and I was encouraged further to continue this work.
So my name is Aaron. I'm from ARY News. My question question is for the Commonwealth Secretary General, Mr. Kalmesh Sharma, and also the External Affairs Minister of India, Mr. Salman Khurshid. Sir, there are, you see, for the last 25 years, there are the most grave human rights violations in Indian-held Kashmir due to the Commonwealth country's family. Have you ever look on that, and do you know how it will be addressed, this human rights problem?
This has not been a Commonwealth issue to look into the national situations of this type.
Let's move to the back of the room. We've had two questions from the front. No hands in the back. Okay, I think there was someone here on this. Yes? Ben TV.
Ayubu Mzee, Ben TV, Sky Channel 82. I just wanted to concentrate on the issue that is happening within the Commonwealth, and this is about the shared values of the Commonwealth. Last night I was watching the president of Uganda saying Uganda is in trouble and is a member of the Commonwealth, and it's something about what he said, imposing social behavior because he has signed the anti-homosexual bill. This morning on my way here, I just saw that the World Bank has also, and the European Union, put sanction on Uganda. What is the position of the Commonwealth on this? Do you share the views of the Uganda government or the East African government in general, who feel that there is social imperialism on it, in the words of the Uganda president? Thank you.
On the matter of sexual preferences and LGBTI, there's no agreed Commonwealth position, but I want to make it absolutely clear that the Commonwealth opposes discrimination on any ground and stands up for the principles of equality, non-discrimination, non-victimization, non-criminalization. But it is for each member state to look to these principles and develop this internally as it befits them the most. And the other point I have made is that there is a question of, a legal question, if you like, of harmonizing your laws with your constitution and with your other international obligations. So the Commonwealth is very clear on the values that are involved in this, but is also very clear that this is a matter of the member states themselves harmonizing their own national policies in order to be in consonance with Commonwealth values.
I can also add to that as chair that, well, the question that you have asked that Uganda has dealt with last week is a matter that touches more on cultural values. And the Commonwealth needs to go very slowly and very carefully when it deals with the cultural norms and ideologies in the continent. And I think the Commonwealth will be hearing me saying that any imposed Western cultural norm in the continent or elsewhere is more likely to lack legitimacy and acceptance. And unless this matter is taken carefully and the people become so sensitive when imposing such cultural differences and norms, we may not end up well. We may not end up well in the continent when it comes to the debate on LGBTIs. And so my call again as a chairman is we have to move slowly, carefully, when we deal with cultural norms and the values in this globe. Thank you.
Okay, I have you. Let's take a question from the middle of the floor. Yes, madam. I'll come back to you.
My name's Abby Nathan. I'm from Tamil Guardian. My question is to Secretary General, and I'd like to follow on from Jonathan's question. When the Commonwealth is usually so keen to work with the UN, how do you reconcile that with the complete discord it's shown with Navi Pilla's reports and efforts with regards to human rights in Sri Lanka? Why has the Commonwealth not done more to address those?
As I said in response to the earlier question, the observation that the Commonwealth is not doing enough is completely misplaced. We have, as I said, 10 tracks which we are developing. We are not trying to avoid the harder issues, but we always work in a spirit of constructive engagement with member states, because all durable and lasting advance in the field of human rights and the rule of law has to be based on national accomplishment and consolidating it nationally, which is why we work so closely with the human rights institution in Sri Lanka in advancing this. As for your reference to Geneva, that's the United Nations. That's Geneva. This is the Commonwealth. This is London. We work here in the Commonwealth in a constructive spirit of engagement with a helping hand in which our leaders have encouraged us.
Thank you. My name is, I am Sarwar from the Nation newspaper in London. My question is to Mr. Secretary General. In presence of the foreign ministers of India and Mr. Sartaj Aziz, I take this privilege to ask you that India and Pakistan are two potential members of the Commonwealth, but they are involved in the blame game. Is it not the duty of the Commonwealth to take initiative and to bring these two countries, which are very, very important from the point of view of the South Asia, to bring them on table and resolve all the outstanding issues? Thank you.
The practice in the Commonwealth and its political work is to concentrate on the reduction and elimination of tension inside a country, whether it is between political forces and parties or for any other reason. That's point number one. Point number two, it is at the invitation of the government to work with them in this field. The Commonwealth does not involve itself in interstate relationships between the Commonwealth memberships.
I think we take one more question.
My question is to, first of all, the Secretary General. Last year...
Can you identify yourself?
Sorry, my name is Callum McRae, Director of No Fire Zone. Last year, you said at this press conference that you were engaging in your good offices and that they were progressing. Now, there is supposed to be a limit on the time for which good offices go on, at the end of which you are supposed to, and I understand that limit is long past, actually, conventionally, and that at the end of that, you are supposed to recommend some form of action. Now, you're telling us again that you're still doing the good offices, and I'm just wondering how that continuing effort stands beside what the UN has been saying, which is that things are not getting better, but getting worse. And I just do have one very supplementary question for the Honourable Professor. In light of the Commonwealth's commitment to association and freedom of expression and your responsibility to encourage and promote those core values, I wonder if you'd like to comment on the fact that last night, one of the leading campaigners for the disappeared in Sri Lanka, a mother and her 14-year-old daughter, were arrested.
We engage in good faith with member states. There's no cut-off point as far as our engagement with member states is concerned in respect of my good offices. If you look at the history of good offices of the Secretary General, it is because the Secretary General is engaged in a difficult terrain that progress inevitably you have to draw a very deep breath when you do good offices. Of course, my expectation always is that quick progress will be made, which is why I said in my opening statement that progress is uneven. And we always try and see through suasion and through collaboration that this progress is achieved. But I would not say that the progress is not being achieved. You will find that in the nature of the work, the pace at which you can progress that work will vary all the time and will be different. So you cannot have an artificial cutoff point for your good offices. Very often, you find that it is taking a long time to pursue the ends through good offices that you want, but we never give up, we stay the course, and we do get the result that we want. And looking back, the lesson we have learned is to do it in good faith, and do it sincerely, and do it with some stamina shown by the Secretary General and the Secretariat. Because in the end, if the way you are working is to create national capacity and to have them overcome the difficulties which are very often very difficult and intractable, you need the time to play that out. So we never say at any one point of time that, we've seen enough of time elapse. We always work towards the end, which serves our values, and we're prepared to draw a very deep breath. But of course, I must emphasize again, this is not the same as saying that we are sanguine about it, not at all. We always try and introduce some velocity and some momentum in the work that we are doing.
Thank you, Secretary General.
The question was addressed to me. It's a great pity that all the progress accomplished in our country during the last 4 years, at the end of a devastating conflict which spanned 3 decades, all of that is ignored, very difficult challenges, and everything that has happened on the ground with regard to internally displaced people being resettled, ex-combatants reintegrated into society. Look at the economy of the North, how it is developing. The holding of elections in the Northern Province after a quarter of a century, all of this is ignored. And it's a great pity that your assessment is totally lacking in fairness and a sense of balance. Of course, law and order issues are a different matter. We have to look at the evidence, the reasons why action has been taken in a particular case, but the trajectory forward, all the progress, is by any reasonable standard pretty substantial. People arrested yesterday. We have to examine the evidence, the grounds on which it is done. That will happen in due course. There is judicial scrutiny. And I think it is very wrong to come to a conclusion before the facts are looked at objectively and in depth.
Okay, I think I would like to, Jonathan, unless this is something new, I'd really like to wrap up now. I mean, this is...
I'd like to just ask a follow-up question to the last one, if I may. If I could prevail on the question of Sri Lanka with the Honourable Professor, External Affairs Minister, Mr. Perez, I do note that there has been progress, and I recognise that some efforts have been made in this regard. And you pointed one of these up, sir, in your recent statement at the UN Human Rights Council. And if I could just ask you about that very briefly, you said that for the past year an investigation has been in train into potential witnesses involved in footage which my program, Channel 4 News, broadcast in 2009, which purported to show the summary execution of bound, naked, blindfolded prisoners by Sri Lankan security forces. This has been validated as authentic by the United Nations experts. You are now saying you're investigating this, but for the past 4 or 5 years, your government has insisted that this footage is a fake. Could you just explain why you have gone to the effort to identify potential witnesses if indeed this footage is, as you say, a fake?
We are prepared to look at anything fairly and objectively, but just as you say that your material is authentic, there were very compelling grounds for us to come to the conclusion that this was a fake, that it had been done entirely for political reasons. I must also mention that this kind of material has a habit of surfacing at a politically critical moment, on the eve of something that is happening that is significant for Sri Lanka. In our own minds, we have no doubt that this is an orchestrated political campaign, but if there's new material that you wish to submit, we will always be willing, with an open mind, to look at it.
But you are investigating it, sir.
I think we'll have to leave it there. I think we'll have to leave it there, Jonathan. Is it something entirely different? Okay, go on. Just make it very brief, please.
Yeah, very brief. Minister, just wondered, from the Indian point of view, was there any particular issue that you brought to the table at the CMAG meeting? Aditi from PTI.
No, not really. I think that there was just one item on the agenda, and I'm very pleased that, this is the first meeting I attended, and I'm very pleased to see that there's right across the board there's consensus, very reasonable consensus amongst all our colleagues. We didn't have any issue to bring. We came here to participate in the discussions on the agenda that was before us, and we were grateful to the Secretary General that he gave us a very comprehensive and extensive report on his good offices that they have been used in various Commonwealth countries in the evolving circumstances, situations which support the core values of the Commonwealth. We didn't have any issues about the agenda.
Thank you, Minister. I think one thing that the ministers will be pleased about is that their statement is very comprehensive and all-encompassing, since it didn't really attract many questions on Fiji. With the kind permission of the chair, the ministers have a tight schedule, so with the kind permission of the chair, I'd like to bring this press conference to a close, and thank you all very much for joining us here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.